Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a first look at a brand new Mega Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Mega Metagross. Mega Metagross arrives as a part of the Mega Metagross Raid Day, and it also gets a brand new Legacy Fast Move for the very first time, Shadow Claw. Today, I'm going to be testing out the Mega Metagross in some Mega Master League practice battles to see how it performs. Although in the Mega Master League, I believe the fast move you're going to want is actually Fury Cutter. As with Fury Cutter, that allows Mega Metagross to actually defeat Mega Gyarados. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's go Mega Metagross. Hopping into the first match, picking up a very nice lead, leading Metagross into Zacian. Now Metagross is able to win all evens going straight Meteor Mash. The threat of an Earthquake could inflict massive damage, but in the Zero Shield, Zacian can barely hang on. So, as the Metagross, I'm more than happy just to play it out by spamming out the Meteor Mashes. Meteor Mash, devastating damage onto that Zacian, and I can tank a close combat no problem. But instead they go for a Behemoth Blade, so they didn't want to debuff their defense. They try for a catch attempt onto Zekrom, but I hold on to my energy, go for the Earthquake, it connects, and we get the Fury Cutter down of the Zekrom, and Mega Metagross is on an absolute rampage. Back in comes Zacian. Zacian will have to throw energy. They're never going to be able to get the farm down. I decide to put up the shield. Quick switch into Palkia. Palkia is going to get the Aqua Tail. And now if my opponent wants this energy, they're going to have to give me a shield. They do just that. And at this point, I'm very happy just to let the Palkia go. They've never shown close combat. And now we find out why is they're on Giga Impact. In the back, they have Mega Latios. And one thing that Mega Metagross does, in my eyes basically better than any other Mega, is it's so good at shutting down the Zacian plus Dragon Core that was absolutely everywhere in the Mega Master League. I'm sure if you played any Mega Masters, you know the core that I'm referring to. It was the Zacian, Gyarados, Palkia, or Zacian, Mega Latios, and Palkia. And the fact that Mega Metagross is playing into all three is incredible. Hopping into game number 2, and we've got the matchup we were looking for, Mega Metagross into Mega Gyarados. The Psychic Mega versus the Dark Mega. Crunch is going to land, dealing devastating damage, and I will return fire with the Earthquake. Metagross does win the 1 shield and the 2 shield here. Gyarados is only able to emerge victorious in the zeros. I decide that I am actually going to let this go. I've neutralized their Mega, and now I can get an energy head start on Palkia. My opponent is going to pivot out. They send out Lunala, and Lunala will immediately take big damage from Spacer Rend if they no shield. They do just that. They're now very, very low, and I'm hoping that I can farm down before they make their next move. They full send the Moonblast, so that proves to be a very wise shield. Farm it up, and unfortunately, I'm unable to get that farm down, so I'm forced to go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will land, picking up the knockout. In the back is going to be Zacian, and Zacian not going to be a big fan of Palkia's energy. The Zacian still does have 2 shields to hide behind, but I can just keep spamming out these Aqua Tails and slowly chipping away at their health bar and hopefully starting to grab these shields. There's the first shield. I get to yet another Aqua Tail. This still could be a tricky game because my Florges wants absolutely nothing to do with this Zacian. This game is going to come down to a catch. My opponent's going to need it if they're going to be able to take home this win. My Florges will just go for the Chilling Water as soon as I get it. Chilling Water, it's all about just forcing the shield. And now, a tough call to make. I'm predicting my opponent is going to go for the catch when I get the move. So I'm just going to overfarm. I'm going to overfarm past the move, and they catch even though I overfarmed. Absolute soul read catch from my opponent. The undercharge, it's not enough. They're one off. Back in comes the Zacian. What a play from my opponent. The game-winning catch. And unfortunately, I am going to lose that game. We get a much better lead in the next match. Oh my goodness, Metagross core breaking as they lead Florges and safe switch into Dialga. Dialga not going to have a good time against Metagross. Earthquake does get shielded. I thought for a split second there the damage landed, but sadly not to be. Roar of Time lands. That does some pretty massive damage, but the nice thing here is the Metagross does tank the Dragon Breath very, very well. Metagross now going to be shielding Iron Heads. Dialga's new pacing means that it is very, very fast to get to the charge move. I farm up just shy of 100 energy, and I am not going to bait. Earthquake is going to land, picking up the KO. In the back, Primal Kyogre. Now, the Primals will be an issue for Mega Metagross, and that's part of why I did try and support it with a Palkia in the back, as Palkia is very good into the Primals. They bring Florges into Palkia, and I make my life easier by chipping them with the Aqua Tail, because now I'm only going to need one move from my Florges to take the KO. They go for the Chilling Water, so they are trying to keep their Florges around, because the Florges is the only hope of getting rid of that Palkia. The Moonblast does get shielded up, but I know I'm not in Moonblast range, so I'm more than happy to get hit with the move. They actually go for the Chilling Water, and there's the switch into Kyogre. Switch clocks up, I get to bank a ton of energy and send in Palkia. At this point, I've lost count of what their energy was at. I'm going to be shielding no matter what, and I'm happy I did, as it is the Thunder. Thunder would be devastating damage, and now, with no shields left on Kyogre, this Spatial Rend is guaranteed to land. Spatial Rend gets them deep into the red. I don't want them making it to another Thunder, so I will go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail lands, picking up the knockout. In comes Florges, and it's just too little, too late. As Palkia gets to the Aqua Tail knocks out the Florges, and we get a much-needed bounce-back win. Hopping into the next match, picking up a pretty bad lead, leading Metagross into Mega Swampert. Something that I just noticed is Metagross is so new that it doesn't even list Mega Metagross at the top left. It just says Mega, which is pretty interesting. I save switch into Palkia, and I'm answered with Primarina. And unfortunately, this game is looking pretty doomed. Primarina does actually have a solid amount of damage output in this matchup somehow, because Primarina does end up taking quite a bit of damage over time if they try and go for the farm down. And it looks like they're going to do just that. I actually get to the Spatial Rend, and this knocks out. It's double resisted, but it will KO. Down goes Primarina, and I'm able to win switch advantage. But I can't really afford to give the Swampert a head start, because Swampert, it can fire off Sludge at the Florges, and that would do a ton of damage. So I'm forced to pivot back into the Metagross. Now, Mega Swampert isn't a Mega you're likely to see too commonly in the Mega Master League, but it is around. It does a nice job, especially if Zacian Groudon cores is very popular, at breaking up Zacian Groudon cores. So, unfortunately, this is looking like it's probably not going to end in my favor. I full send the Earthquake, hoping for the Hail Mary, but it's not to be. Metagross is getting knocked out by the Swampert, and then I can bring in the Florges. But unfortunately, Florges is just not going to be able to sweep. It doesn't really matter what they have in back, as there's not really a chance for me anymore. It's going to be their own Florges, and my only hope would be a catch, but even then, I just don't have the health needed to take home the win. I go for the Moonblast. I predict my opponent would throw one over, but they end up firing it instantly. Moonblast lands, and that's going to seal it, as one Fairy Wind is going to KO the Palkia. Great lead in the next match. Metagross into Zacian. Opponent safe switches into a Mega Garchomp, and Mega Garchomp is taking quite a lot of damage from Metagross. Metagross going for the Meteor Mash. Big damage onto Garchomp. Garchomp can threaten with an Earth Power, so I will put up the shield. Earth Power not going to land. They're going to try and get another move, but look at this. I Fury Cutter down Mega Garchomp. Exit with a ton of energy, and out comes Annihilate. Annihilate, not a Pokemon that I was expecting to see, but Annihilate, if it gets ramped up, could potentially get a little bit uncomfortable. So I don't want to let that happen. Instead, I'm just going to farm up and then look to switch eventually into the Palkia. Because if I can preserve some energy on my Metagross, then that's going to do a very nice job at getting rid of the Zacian. So I farm up, I bank the move, and I get the catch onto the Palkia. Even a +1 Rage Fist, not going to do a whole lot. My opponent going to farm up energy. I have to watch for a Spatial Rend catch, and there it is. They try for the Spatial Rend catch. That would have been devastating. A Spatial Rend would be triple resisted. And now I get to go for Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail, just absolutely crushing Zacian with the sheer speed of Palkia. Palkia is already at Aqua Tail number 3. I think this just straight up knocks out, and it does knock out. The Dragon Breath picks up the KO. Back in comes Annihilate, and that's getting sniped with Mega Metagross. Meteor Mash picks up the KO, and that's a good game. Great lead in the next match. Mega Metagross into Zacian. Zacian gonna stay in this matchup, and that sounds good to me. Zacian is gonna fire out the close combat right before I get the Earthquake, and I decide to click no shield. My opponent now safe switches into Palkia. I bank a ton of energy, and I'm going to respond with Florges. So this is highly likely to be either Mega Latios, or it's going to be Mega Gyarados in the back. Honestly, seeing either one would be pretty welcome, but I make a massive misplay. I knock out the Palkia before they threw a second Aqua Tail, and that means that now I can't get out of this matchup. Zacian's gonna get so much energy for free, and I'm in a lot of trouble. Switch Clock finally comes up. I get to snipe with the Mega Metagross, but the damage is done. They're so far ahead on energy. The Meteor Mash gets shielded. I'm forced to shield because I cannot survive the close combat, and now if it is going to be something like the Latios or the Gyarados, I'm down a shield, which is where I don't want to be. They're gonna stay in, try for the catch. It's Mega Gyarados in the back, and Mega Gyarados will immediately get baited. If I can catch an Aqua Tail, I can win the game. Oh, I try for the catch. I must have mistimed it by a half a second. I get knocked out, and unfortunately, not taking that second Aqua Tail in that mid game ends up dooming me because they just got too much of an energy head start, and with that energy head start, it was just not recoverable. The Crunch does get the debuff, which is a very low percentage chance, but the game was lost a long time ago due to my misplays. I am able to get the Chilling Water on Florges, and Chilling Water will pick up the knockout, but they still have Zacian, and Zacian is much too healthy. So even though I could get an Aqua Tail just simply would not knock out. So that is a team that is triple weak to Metagross, but my opponent played very well, and in that game, unfortunately, I didn't play the best. We move to the next match, picking up a great lead Mega Metagross into Palkia. This is a matchup that gets completely flipped on its head by A, having Fury Cutter, and B, being a Mega Metagross instead of the regular Metagross, as Mega Metagross actually wins all evens into Palkia. Earthquake lands, and we see why. That damage is devastating. Aqua Tail number 2 is going to connect, but look at Metagross getting that Fury Cutter farm down, exiting with energy. In comes Kyogre, and here I shouldn't have pivoted. I should have just stayed in and thrown the Earthquake, but I tried to get aggressive. I pivoted out into the Florges. Kyogre is going to go for the Surf. I just keep farming, and they pivot out into Groudon, and that will actually win me this game. Now, I definitely should have just stayed in with the Metagross, as Metagross, I would have had Palkia onto their Kyogre, and then I could have had this exact same alignment. So we ended up with the alignment that I should have had all along, but I definitely overcomplicated things. I was quite tired when doing these battles. End of a long week. So the good news is we are going to be able to take this win, as Chilling Water does get shielded, but there's the combo play with the Mega Metagross, Earthquake, picking up the knockout. In comes Kyogre. Kyogre gets the farm down, just to be met with the Palkia. So Palkia, from here, it's pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, there's nothing that Kyogre can really do. If it's the Primal Kyogre, Thunder or Blizzard does a ton of damage, but the regular Kyogre just can't do much. Hopping into the next match, we've got a spicy Mega on the lead, Metagross into Gallade. Gallade's pacing is absolutely absurd. Gallade's close combat rocks the Metagross. In comes Duskmane Necrozma, and here, I overfarmed too much. I should have thrown as soon as I got the Earthquake, because now I've given a pretty significant energy head start to the Duskmane. Now this is a problem because Duskmane obviously can learn Outrage. I put up the shield as I do not want to get one shot by the Outrage, but it only ends up being a Dark Pulse. So they could be on Dark Pulse, Sunsteel Strike, but I don't really want to take any chances. So I'm actually just going to end up double shielding. Unfortunately, using 2 shields on a Pokemon that isn't my Mega probably isn't the greatest idea. Out comes Gallade. I'm hoping that the Spatial Rend will be able to knock out. Spatial Rend lands. They do not get their move as I'm able to snipe them down. In the back is going to be Zacian, and this could be a problem. But I'm already at back-to-back Aqua Tails, so I can just fire off these back-to-back moves and get some damage, but I accidentally overfarmed too much. The tiredness catching up to me. Close combat takes the knockout, and now I'm in trouble. I send in Florges. My opponent is going to send out Duskmane Necrozma, but Duskmane is going to be able to one-shot me with the Sunsteel Strike, even with this debuff. So I overfarm. I get the catch onto the Metagross, but unfortunately, it's still not going to be enough to save me, as I catch the Sunsteel, but they get an undercharge and a farm down, and I can just never get enough energy on Florges. So I will be able to take this knockout, but after this, I'm just going to end up resigning the match, as back in comes Zacian. Hopping into the final match, leading Mega Metagross into Mega Gyarados once again. As I mentioned, I'm able to win the 1s and the 2s as the Mega Metagross, although playing out the 0s still works out pretty nicely because the Gyarados is basically in perfect farm down range for whatever you have in the back. Opponent gonna send out Dialga, and I'm just going straight for the Earthquake. I want to punish an O-Shield. Earthquake connects. That damage is devastating. I send in Palkia. They're gonna make a last-second move, but I don't buy it. I don't think that it's enough for the Roar of Time. It's just gonna be the Iron Head, and Iron Head is fine. I'm more than happy to take that damage on the Palkia. So Palkia now has a pretty nice energy head start, and that's going to be really, really clutch as out comes Eternatus. Eternatus, the Dragon Tail rework is honestly a bit unfavorable to it because it doesn't have the same fast move pressure into Palkia that it used to, and that's going to allow my Palkia to make it to a second Spatial Rend. Spatial Rend is going to be shielded. They get the full farm down, but now I can bring in Florges to absorb the flamethrowers, and then Metagross will be able to close out this game. Eternatus is on Sludge Bomb. What is this? I was not expecting that at all. In comes the Gyarados. Gyarados gonna take big damage from the Earthquake. Earthquake lands. Gyarados hangs on with fractional HP remaining to pressure my final shield with Crunch. But Eternatus, they already showed their hand. They are walled here. They do not have Flamethrower. So whatever they throw, I'm gonna be resisting. My opponent goes for the cheeky bad manners Sludge Bomb there, and this is going to end up being a win. Mega Metagross one final time, picking up the knockout, and that's a good game. All in all, I think Mega Metagross arrives pretty immediately as a meta-relevant Mega. The most common team in Upper Elo Mega Master League during the most recent rotation was Zacian, Mega Gyarados, and Palkia. So Mega Metagross having play into all three, to me means it's going to be meta relevant. I think Fury Cutter is really, really nice tech for the Mega Master League because being able to have fast move pressure into Gyarados is a huge plus considering how strong Gyarados is and how ubiquitous it is as well, as Gyarados usage is incredibly high. Now, Metagross in its base form, I think will really benefit from the new fast move of Shadow Claw. Shadow Claw, I believe, is going to be a legacy move that you can TM after the event, and I believe it sims quite a bit better in the Master Premier Cup with Shadow Claw. So I may need to look at maxing a second Metagross so I can have one that's legacy and one that is without, because as far as the Mega Master League goes, I think Fury Cutter is probably going to be the way to go. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.